My name is Ciaran O'Donnell. I'm Head of Music Service at Services for Education, and that is the lead organisation for the Birmingham Music Education Partnership. And that mouthful means that we're actually the lead organisation for the hub in Birmingham, and we work with a number of strategic partners in the city, including Quench on this really interesting project. Wavelength came along at exactly the right time for the BMEP. We had been doing a number of other projects around inclusion, but we really hadn't looked at the issue, which is actually quite a seismic issue around mental health. Quench brought this interesting project to the hub, and because it spanned the age range of 14 to 25, and hub funding allows us to spend money up to the age of 18, there was a really clear and identified overlap with which we could fund, and so we've been able to afford some matched funding towards the project in the last financial year and this year, and we're seeking to continue that into the future. Fingers crossed that Wavelength can continue. Having seen Wavelength and the outcomes from the project even today, I think it's absolutely crucial. It's not just important, it's crucial. Clearly there's a gap here for young people who are dealing with an awful lot of emotional challenge in their life, and I can see that the creativity and the musical outcomes are of the highest possible level. The performance space, the way you treat that is immensely authentic, and it must be incredibly cathartic for young people to write those words and then to turn them into something and to perform them, which gives them a sense of pride and a sense of purpose. And that's something that within the hub we're trying to do in all areas of education, and I think what we've achieved in Wavelength in partnership with Quench has some synthesis with that. Within the hub, we have a bit of an educational ethos which underpins all of which we do. And it's not really just music for music's sake, but that's very important, but we really do understand the wider benefits that playing and engaging with music has. And so from the very earliest stages of a young person's life, that might just be things like playing and sharing and learning how to take your turn. But as you progress through your life in music, you begin to pick up confidence, you begin to pick up skills around organisation, and then as you continue and you persevere with music, you begin to learn things like failure. You know, we have to understand what it's like to fail and get back up and try again. And then even more important to me really is that in an age where we have one-touch mobile phones and one-touch iPads, deferred gratification, the fact that you have to work on something, you've got to take time to put something together, and you get the benefit and the gratification at the end of the process. And I think those skills are not just lifelong skills, but actually if you look at all of the evidence, they're the things that the top 10 employers are looking for in the workplace of the future. So I think that music has a place in preparing all young people to take their role in the future for jobs that we don't even yet know what they are in. The music service and the music education hub have a kind of multi-stranded approach to their work. So the music service traditionally and largely works in school settings. We have a number of partners, including Quench and MAC, which lead on our kind of inclusion work, and so when you begin to look into inclusion, there is a whole spectrum of need. And we've identified good practice in working with disabled musicians, we've identified good practice in working with SEND and special schools, and we've had a foray into strategic partners around therapeutic music with the CBSO and also then music therapy. But then there's an additional strand which overlaps with SEMH work, which is those children who have emotional behavioural difficulties, and actually taking that to another level, children and young people who have a kind of mental health condition. And actually, if the hub is doing its work right, and it's supposed to be an inclusive service for all, then we can't ignore the fact that there will be young people who have mental health conditions, and we need to find a way. The National Plan for Music Education 1 is actually coming to an end in 2020. And this work is crucial because it actually dovetails into the inclusion part of the aspirations behind the National Plan for Music Education. What I'm actually hoping is that the national plan, when it's revised and iteration 2 comes out to take this work forward, is that we begin to see just a little bit of a widening of the age range. So we're talking about working with early years, and we're talking about working up to the age of 25. I think what we're going to see actually within the remit of the national plan 2 will be exactly what's needed for Wavelength to take its rightful place and to expand even across the West Midlands and beyond. Only with that uplift of the age range can we actually get it to take its full and worthwhile part in the music education hub work. The BMEP has written a musical inclusion strategy, and it's got 9 strategic aims within it. And all of the hub partners have subscribed to those 9 strategic goals. We're going to be working and progressing that over the next few years, and that takes us up till 2022, I believe. Also, we would like to take forward all of the kind of strands of work that we're doing with disabled musicians and SEND schools, and of course the work we're doing with Quench and Wavelength. But times are tight, aren't they? You know, we've got rising costs, static funding, and so one of the aspects of taking the inclusion strategy forward will be to find resource for that. And so what I'm quite glad about is that 2 years ago we started fundraising within the hub, and that now raises about £200,000 a year, and I think the time is coming whereby we need to divert some of those funds towards expanding our work in this area, and that will give some impetus to the kind of current work and allow us to take it further. Ultimately, my aim is to see young people not partitioned into SEND, SEMH, and the long-term aspiration of a hub must surely be to bring all of those children together, from mainstream education, those with mental health conditions, all onto the one stage so that they're playing together. And that's going to take time, it's going to take patience and a bit of trust, but I'm pretty sure we can get there. We do know that musical learning and all of that stuff that goes with it happens over time, every week, over time, and then over years, and then you get there. I think I just wanted to make one point about legacy, which is that clearly within this work, there's a legacy for these young musicians because they have a CD, but there's also a legacy in the skills that they've developed over the course of the project. And what was most interesting was that there's a legacy for the parents, and we always forget about the impact that work like this with inclusion has on parents, because a lot of the times when you speak to parents, they've resigned themselves to the fact that they will never see their young person on stage. They have too much challenge in their life, or they have a disability, or they have an issue that they've just written that off. And work like this is crucial because it turns that around and it changes perceptions, and it sets a precedent that young people can do this type of work, they can do it well, and they can be successful at it.